From the powerful Psychic types to the defensive Steel types to the meta-defining Fairy types, Pokemon has always been defined by their 18 types and how they've interacted with each other. While having a very rough start, Game Freak has slowly balanced these types to ensure that the game's meta is nice and healthy. So, wouldn't it be funny if Game Freak randomly decided to just add so many types that balancing this game becomes a complete nightmare? Oh, and if that's not going to put smoke on life support, what if we just make some of these Pokemon gain more than 2 types, just for the hell of it? Well, think no further, as this scenario has been turned into a reality thanks to the power of Gen 3 Decomp ROM hacking. This is Pokemon Too Many Types, a ROM hack created in 2023 by these lovely people that was made for an Alpharad video and was later released to the public upon the video's upload. I remember seeing the entire video during my lunch period, and all I thought was, wow, that was pretty cool, before I just went back to my class and moved on with my life. But then later that night, I noticed that both Squerk and CatsuneNiku were doing something that honestly caught my attention. They were participating in a nuzlocked challenge where they go through the entirety of Too Many Types completely blind. And you know what? That is an amazing concept. Definitely better than what I was currently doing. You know, I've never actually went back to that save file since I started this challenge a few months ago. Maybe I should go back at some point. So I asked Niku to send me a copy of her type chart, which will be my only point of reference throughout the entire challenge. On top of this, I'll also be handicapping myself by not using either legendaries or stat boosted moves outside of Reflect or Light Screen. And I have to stick with the level cap of this game, which just so happens to be the same as vanilla. Man, this is gonna be a cool challenge. All I gotta do is play through this game semi-blind and fill the type chart along the way. How complicated can it get? Oh, Q-Spec, what have you gotten yourself into this time? When I first started this game, my goal was pretty simple. I knew from the very beginning that I was not going to beat this challenge within the first few attempts, so I might as well experiment with a few type matchups and fill a type chart along the way. My main focus was to primarily target Pokemon with a single type, such as the pure Angie type Poochyena and the pure Fluffy type Cottonee. I've also kept track of a bunch of other stuff, just for later use. For example, I've kept track of certain type matchups and how they affect certain type combinations, and I've also kept track of which Pokemon showed up in the ROM hack, making sort of a pseudo Pokédex for myself. My first few attempts obviously didn't go that far, but slowly but surely I was able to figure things out. I was finding guaranteed strats for specific fights, and I ended up finding some Pokemon with some very funny type combinations, and eventually I had a run that made it past the 7th gym leader. Things are looking very swell, and
you went for Reflect. Are you actually shitting me?
I lost.
Oh my fucking god, this stupid ass Matang. This stupid fucking Matang. Are you shitting me? Why are you going for Light Screen?
Right. And then after that, I kinda got stuck. I ended up dying to either really bad RNG or to stuff like grabbing the combination of these 3 Pokemon. Become extremely useless after early game. However, I eventually had a run that looked very promising. Attempt 25. Right off the bat, you're given the starter choice between the Grass Bean Chikorita, the Fire Magic Fennekin, and the Water Silly Poplio. After plenty of attempts, I've ultimately decided that Chikorita was the best starter to choose due to Bailey's matchup versus Watson and Meganium's bulk being very useful in a game where you don't know the type chart very well. I then proceeded to get a bunch of good encounters such as the Crab type Krabby, the normal Fluffy Sentret, the Water Gender Marrow, and the Fluffy Cottonee. After defeating a Team Aqua Grunt, I used Repel to reach Rusturf Tunnel, grab the Whismur, and catch up with Dew, who I kept my party to grow friendship. But Dew is one of the few Pokemon in this game with the Baby type, which I've already concluded by this point to be weak to every type in the game, which means that I can really only use this thing after it evolves. Now it's time to fight Roxanne, who now specializes in the Ancient type. By now I've already figured out a guaranteed strat for this fight. Whismur is a Song type which is super effective against Ancient type, and has Echo Voice, a move that increases in power the more you use it. So the strategy is to simply spam Echo Voice until either Whismur dies or Roxanne is defeated. Of course, my Whismur happened to be minus speed nature, and it goes down to a super effective Rock Tomb crit. That's honestly kinda fine. I have both Chikorita and Krabby as backup for this fight, with the former being super effective against Ancient and the latter being immune to it. I next head towards Doofer Town, where I catch a Magikarp followed by a Kling in Granite Cave. Despite most of his trainers primarily using the Stinky type, Brawly himself is still a fighting type specialist, with his new ace being Sock, who is now a fighting These Nuts type. This is a type that is exclusive to Pokemon with some sort of Ligma joke in their name, and their weaknesses make sense for their type. Like, just think about it for a minute. If you want to do significant damage to someone's nuts, you have plenty of options. You can roast them, punch them, shoot them, freeze them, crush them with a rock. But most importantly, not a single person has ever survived getting their balls crushed by a crab. Luckily for us, Krabby is a guaranteed encounter in this game, and not to mention, Crab is also super effective against fighting types. So here's what we do. I lead Bailey versus this Enki Monkey Menki in order to set up Reflect before taking it down. This baits in Sock, so I bring in my Shell Armor Krabby to break Sturdy and sweep the rest of the fight. After capturing a few more encounters and beating that one main fight everyone talks about, I proceeded to grab the Suzy Bell and focus on evolving Purdue. One of the only flaws with this game is that for some reason, despite changing evolution methods like the Clink line and the Dano line, none of the friendship evolutions have actually changed, and there's no way to rapidly increase friendship since there's no EV reducing berries, and you can't hack and max friendship with PK Hex since this is a decomp hack. So I simply did it the old fashioned way by riding my Mach Bike back and forth on speed up, all while occasionally checking to see if Padu's ready to evolve yet. This is gonna take a while, so while I bike a marathon to make Padu happy enough to evolve, let's talk about Watson. This is one of the first major run enders of this game, and that's mainly due to the fact that he specializes in the Prime type. Basically any Pokemon whose Dex number is a Prime number will automatically have the Twitch themed type. As a result, finding a Pokemon of this type is extremely rare, with only 11 Pokemon having this type. Most of his team isn't too bad, but his Whimsicott is a huge threat since there aren't a lot of Pokemon that can hit it super effectively without being weak to Whimsicott's stab, and it can easily set up rope and wipe entire teams if you aren't careful. This fight is one of the main reasons why I chose Chikorita as my starter since its Bean type is super effective against Whimsicott's Prime type, though it still needs a bit of help. Oh thank god, it finally evolved, let's get started. I lead Roselia versus his Prime gamer, Porygon. If anyone knows one thing about gamers, is that they are unable to touch grass, and if they are forced to do so, they will disintegrate upon contact. This immediately baits in Whimsicott, and I have just a Pokemon to take it down. All of Whimsicott's attacks are physical attacks, so I can easily bring in my own Cottonee in order to cripple it with Puffa, a Charm Plum. Once it's close to -6 attack, I send in Bayleaf in order to easily take it down and win the fight completely deathless. I just spent 5 minutes evolving this thing, what the fuck? Now that I have Rock Smash, I can head north towards Route 111. Word of advice, if you want to delay for desert routes, always use Repel before using Rock Smash. That way you don't have to worry about accidentally running into a Geodude here. Alright, well let's catch a few more encounters before fighting Flannery, starting with... No. 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 No! I don't wanna go back! I don't wanna... Oh, these encounters are all pretty cool. Once I beat Maxie, I reached Lava Ridge Town where I received an egg which hatched into a Friendship is Magic gender pony. I then proceeded to buy a bunch of evolution stones which I used to evolve a few of my Pokemon before fighting the next gym leader. Flannery primarily focuses on using Fluffy and Friend type Pokemon, which is really useful because the former is at this point already solved thanks to Wild Cottonees, and the latter had plenty of common types that I can use to figure out their weaknesses. Flannery leads her fluffy friend Furret, who I immediately disintegrated with my Arcanine. I then stay in on her Flareon in order to do huge damage with Dig before getting paralyzed by a warm hug. I use this opportunity to switch into Floatzel on a heal turn before hitting it with a quad effective Aqua Jet. She sends in her ace Ninetales and I go for Aqua Jet again in hopes to one-shot it since two of its types are weak to it. Unfortunately, it didn't kill. Did I mention that Floatzel is weak to fire in this game? Yeah, I don't think I have. Well, at least Azumarill and Lopunny were able to sweep the rest of the fight, getting me the 4th badge. Now it's time to head back to Petalburg City to face Norman, who now specializes in the furry type. You know, I'll make a joke about this, but pretty much anyone who's made a video on this game has already made that joke, so Oh, by the way, I grabbed the 2 fossils I needed in order to revive Dracofish. Not because a fish is Ren, that's post-game, but rather because it's a decent matchup versus Norman. Plus, it doesn't do much after this fight. Because there aren't a lot of Pokemon with the fairy typing, I only knew about 5 types that are super effective against it. But I now have Lopunny, who's the only dual type fairy type in the game, and it just so happens that its other type is the Fluffy type, which I already have solved by this point. So I used my knowledge of the Fluffy type to figure out the fairy type matchup by battling a few wild Pokemon. That didn't really give me a whole lot, but it was enough for me to be able to build a team ready to fight Norman. I need Dracovish versus his Floatzel, who immediately gets one-shotted by a strong job boosted bite. This based in his ace Lopunny, who I immediately responded with my Sandslash, who's able to one-shot it with a Stab Sharp type boosted Slash. Vaporeon comes in next, and I bring my Bayleaf in order to take care of it. However, I underestimated Vaporeon's bulk and barely damaged it. This ends up being fine because I can bring in my backup Kingler in order to one-shot it with a super effective Stomp. Thanks to Shell Armor, I'm able to stay in on his Lucario and respond to its Glomp with 2 Stomps, winning me the fight. God, what the fuck was that sentence? With access to Surf, I get plenty of new Pokemon in my party, starting with... Linus, what the hell are you doing here? I don't care if you're a roaming legendary, I've already made up my mind. No legendaries in my run! Shoo, go away! Anyways, Hobbit is a pretty good encounter here since I can go back to Route 115 where I can gain access to Tranquil, who I've already determined is the only other encounter here in this area. While I capture the next few Pokemon before the next gym leader, I should probably mention the number one way most of my Pokemon died throughout all my attempts. Either they are weak to a certain type, or I didn't know. Take this fight versus Shelly for example. She happens to have a Zoroark, a Sus Fairy type whose moves I couldn't see due to how Illusion interacts with the team preview feature this game has. It goes for Vent, a Sus type Dig, which is a type I don't have a lot of info on. I switched into Spinda, only to remember that Friend is weak to Sus. I hope that maybe its other type will resist it since I didn't know at the time. Nope! So yeah, get used to this as we head towards Winona, a gym leader that specializes in song and dance type Pokemon. She leads her Ludicolo, who immediately sets the newly added Groovy field, a field that boosts song and dance moves and gives the latter priority. I was able to one-shot it using Ape Escape, a U-turn clone exclusive to the Apom line. I used a Zumuro in order to bait in her Maractus and switched it to Arcanine expecting a Mega Drain, not realizing that dance is super effective against both water and fire. See, didn't take long for that to happen again. M-Bomb comes back in, and despite getting paralyzed, it was able to land an Unca Bunca for a one-shot. Lopunny is able to switch into Chat Out on Aerial Lace and Oak-Coat before Winona sends in her X-Cloud. It's going to go for Fire Fang, so I send in an Octillery in order to kill with a 4 times effective Surf. Finally is her Altaria, who, much like in the vanilla games, is a bit of a threat thanks to Dragon Dance. Unfortunately for Altaria, Winona hasn't paid her taxes, so I sent in my Amphesin in order to help her out by stacking files upon files of W9 tax documents until Altaria gets too exhaustive to do any significant damage. Once Amphesin kills any vibe his fellow bird initially had, I can send in a Zumuro to safely take care of Altaria, winning me the fight and the 6th badge. Okay, Gear Grind. Filibuster. What the hell is this? Speed Fell. What? Once I reached Lillicove City and beat my rival, I gained access to plenty of useful battle items as well as items required to evolve a bunch of my Pokemon in my team. Along the way, I got a bunch of new Pokemon, including a Pikachu-type Pikachu in the Safari Zone, which I was able to grab without it running away due to the Safari Zone exploit. Maybe I'll explain that in a different video. Normally I would go over the Magma and Aqua Hideout shenanigans, but honestly they're extremely easy to handle, so there's really no need to talk about them. However, what I do need to talk about is the next gym leader, who's normally Tate Liza, however they are absent in this game. Instead being replaced by the all-American gym leader Clay, who now specializes in the Gun type and the Ohio type. It's still a double battle, so I came up with a strategy that heavily revolves around primarily focusing on the right side of the field while mostly ignoring his lead Buffalant. I set up Reflect turn 1 as Crocodile Body Slams Duraludon. Clay then proceeds to double target my Meganium as I completely forgot that Meganium becomes a fairy type upon evolving. Thankfully, Buffalant decides to spare Meganium's life by deporting him out of Moss Deep City, which randomly sends in Whimsicott. Whimsicott is perfect for this fight, not only because it can lead see Buffalant to get significant healing on the right side of the field, but it can also heal its partner thanks to access to Pollen Puff. However, things take a turn to the south as Braviary comes in the field and did something that I didn't expect. God. Oh, that's Dragon Dance. Oh, fuck, that's bad. I normally keep track of what each boss trainer has, but I haven't bothered documenting their movesets, which is now starting to bite me in the ass. I ended up losing Whimsicott, Electivire, and I even lost a Zumro here since Braviary saw a kill despite being in heal range. Things are looking bad, but because Braviary never targeted Crocodile, I still have a win con. After Clay heals Braviary the next turn, my Crocodile body slams it in range for another Hyper Potion, and because it didn't see a kill on either side, I was able to double target it to take it down. Hitmonchan comes in next, and it is here that I realized that fairies are weak to Ohio, if that makes any sense to you. Had I not flinched Hitmonchan, I probably would have lost Lopunny, but now that I know it's weak to it, I can use that knowledge by using Protect as Clay double targets my Lopunny while Crocodile takes both his Pokemon down with Dig, narrowly escaping defeat. From here, I'm starting to approach my PB, which is the Maxi Tag Battle, and once I beat him, I'll once again go through this game completely blind. I'm a bit nervous about this fight since I don't want to wipe it and have to come all the way back here, so I decided to come up with a plan. I've gathered every wild Pokemon on one side of the Excel sheet, and I'm going to use it to figure out as much of the type chart as I possibly can. That way I can gain info on specific type matchups in case I do end up wiping again. So, when I go live next, I have a plan to figure out a bunch of new type matchups starting with a Rock Crab type Webbel on Route 121 in order to figure out... Wait a second. Wow, I really did just spend 2 hours doing all this only to remember that Kecleon exists. So yeah, Kecleon, a Pokemon not a lot of people think about outside Mystery Dungeon, ends up being one of the most useful Pokemon in too many types, and it's not because of how useful it is in battle. Its signature ability Color Change changes Kecleon's type to whatever type it just got hit with. This solves the biggest problem with figuring out the type matchup because as long as I can live and attack, I can gain certain type matchups that I otherwise wouldn't get. After about 2 hours or so, my type chart went from this to this, which is as much info as I could possibly need until the next level cap. I then prepared to face Maxi with a team ready for any specific circumstances, only to find out that this fight's extremely easy with Kingdra as long as you target Tabitha first. From here we are now fully blind and we have to prepare for quite literally anything to happen at any moment. Archie ends up being very easy, but one is one I'm worried about. Good news, he specializes in the crab type, a type that is pretty much solved by this point. Bad news is that I don't know what Pokemon he will have, and some of them could potentially have to move Crab Rave, which is yet another Dragon Dance clone. Luckily I brought a secret weapon with a poison flying friend type Crobat that I encountered in Cape of Origin, who was able to one-shot his lead Crawdon as well as his Machamp who dies to a 4 times effective wing attack. Oh, that's right, I should probably mention, since there's not a whole lot of crustacean Pokemon in this series, this type also includes mons with extra limbs like Machamp and Ambipom. Anyway, Crosto is next, who I have to switch out to Milo on in order to two-shot while it wastes his time setting up. He then brings us his ace Kingler, who I brought back Crobat in order to negate his Crab Rave with Haze, only for Kingler to land a Guillotine, killing Crobat instantly. At this point, my strategy has crumbled and Meganium can't 1v1 Kingler, and I decided to sack it in order to set up Reflect. However, it misses a Crab Hammer that would have killed Meganium, and then for some reason instead of trying again, one switches into Crabominable. Okay, sure, why not? It's going for Ice Hammer, which Meganium is quite weak to, so I switched to Milo to outspeed and take it down. Even with Juan saving his Hyper Potion, Milo was at full health, allowing me to safely 1v1 Kingler, winning me the final gym badge. With the final level cap, I can afford to fight a few more Kecleons using this Bastiodon I found on Victory Road. While doing so, I grabbed the TM for Hidden Power to possibly extend the amount of types I can get from my Kecleon grinds. Turns out you can get new types through Hidden Power, which definitely helps with types that don't have a specific move attached to it. I then proceeded to prepare for Wally, who, based off his previous team prior to battling Watson, I determined was going to specialize in the Gender type, which can be threatening considering that he potentially has a Galarian Rapidash, who gains access to a move called Trans Right, which, you guessed it, is basically Geomancy. And it just so happens that the only Pokemon that is faster and can hit it with a 6 times 2 reflected poison attack is currently dead. So of course this Rapidash just so happens to be Wally's lead. This actually ends up being good since I can chip it with Ambipom and it looks like it doesn't have the power which means I can take it down with a single Sludge Bomb. Next is Milo and I switch into Meganium who does a lot less damage than Milo than I expected and it hits me to Attract. I tried to switch into Octillery to negate the effects of Attract only to be hit with a super effective Ice Beam which, by the way, isn't an Ice type move in this game. It's an OU type move which is super effective against water. I ultimately decided to sack Octillery in order to revenge kill with a Prime Cell from Kling Klang. This basic Galley was easy to take down as Meganium can tank a Leaf Blade and 2 shot with Dazzling Gleam. Next is Sylveon, who also has Transfer but only has Moonblast as his attacking move, allowing me to take it down with Cling Clang along with his last mon Roserade, winning me the fight. It's now time to enter the Elite Four, and since I already watched the Alpharad video, hence why it's called a semi-blind Nuzlocke, I know what the last 2 E4 members are and what type they specialize, and I have a vague idea as to what Wallace's team looks like. However, I'm going to go through the first 2 members completely blind. That being said, I decided to predict their type specialty based off of who they usually have as their ace, and roughly build a team based off the assumption that Sydney specializes in the bad type Pokemon, and Phoebe specializes in gamer type Pokemon. This could be anything. Spinda. Okay, this was not what I was expecting. Spinda, okay, that's kind of... fuck, keep to protect the scout ahead. $5 bill. It's not a contact move. Crap, what do I do, what do we do, what do we do? I was not expecting silly type. Like, you look at Sydney, you don't think silly. I'm on the first fucking mon, and I don't know what to do. Oh, wait, shit. Failings. Okay, failings. Good luck. Thanks, I'm trying my best here because I did not think that this was gonna be, I guess, the wrong fucking type. God, I wish I kept Porygon too. Crap. Who is next? Mr. Ryan? Dracovish, I probably should have guessed that. This has Vicious Ren. Fuck. Gonna surf. Oh, yeah, so I think we, gonna protect here. And then it's gonna heal. Or it doesn't. Was that not heal? Was that not heal range? Anyone wanna backdoor me here? Why is my entire team weak to this? So Mori, you kind of caught me in a pretty bad situation. I predicted the wrong type for Sydney, and I'm suffering the consequences for it because the majority of my Pokemon are weak to this type. I might not actually be able to kill this thing. This thing's able to kill me. No, I have like nothing. Because I never thought that I would have to fight something that's a fucking ball type. Wait, is it 0 in all fucking stats? Alright, Golem, you got this. You got this, Golem. Ah, I went for Squirt Flower. Okay, we have to Rock Blast here. Come on. Okay. Yes!
Oh! Oh my fucking god, yes! Oh, fuck.
Oh, how was that deathless? Yeah, that was crazy. Well, at least I was able to predict Phoebe's type correctly, as she leads with a pure gamer type Sableye. I, of course, ape escaped in order to... Something's coming in 5 turns. Well, I guess I'll have to stay in and take down Sableye. It's a good thing that Meganium is a grass type, which is one of the reasons why I brought it in the first place, because grass types are immune to gamers. So, worst case scenario, if this acts like Gen 3 Future Sight, if it still hits, I'll at least still be able to resist it. So I keep Meganium in as Porygon Z comes in next. 2 Gauge Range were enough to take it down as she sends in her ace Beware, when suddenly... Okay... Yes! Get fucked. Beware took the fight. Wait, what? Wait, what? Hey, yo, Freddy Fazbear killing Beware! Yo! What? Her next one is Dusknoir, who's one of the few Pokemon with a reverse type, which essentially is a type that flips its weaknesses and resistances. It also has 5 Nights, and now that I know that it attacks both Pokemon for some reason, I simply stall it out until Freddy Fazbear attacks him, leaving it low enough for Kingdra to knock it down. Last is Grimmsnarl, but its only attacking move is Darkest Lariat, allowing me to safely take it down with Milo, winning me the fight. Normally, the next member is Glacia, but in this game, I instead fight none other than Larry and his team of boring type Pokemon. The fight starts off with a Golem Ditto, where his Golem only has Stealth Frost and Explosion, so we exchange rocks and I protect on the Explosion. He then sends in Slacking, a Pokemon I expected him to have as ace. I stay in and tank a super effective Giga Impact as I live with Sturdy and use Slacking's turn-on turn to safely switch into Kingdra. From there, Kingdra sweeps as it one-shots every single Pokemon he has on his team with a super effective Surf. Next, we expect to see Drake here, but instead we have ourselves an uninvited guest. Here we go. They lead Ditto as I bring Ambipom to the field, so I pivot to Milo in order to 1v1 it. Brab usually resists Surf, however, in water, chimps will drown. They then send in the Moongus, who I immediately suspect to actually be Zoroark, so I stay into one shot with Surf. They then send in the actual Moongus, who I tried to 1v1 only for a Moongus to sabotage my plans and send in Mimikyu. A Pokemon I haven't seen yet outside of Safari Zone, but predicted was going to be here. It has Swords Dance, so I stay in just to break his guy? What? Well, good news is that it seems to always go for Vent over Shadow Snake, which is a 2-turn move when... Okay, well now I'm fighting the Republican Sus Prime Licky Licky, which forces me to switch to Golem as Vents. Eventually, I figured out what's going on. All these Pokemon want to do is Vent, which gets completely countered by having Protect on all my Mons, allowing me to safely take care of the rest of their team, winning me the fight. We're finally on our way to Wallace, and my vague memory of Alpharad's video made me remember the fact that he has Savali, and that he also leads with Wynot, who's a reverse baby type, which means that it resists every type. I was also warned by both Niku and Squerk that there's a rather unfortunate glitch that causes a Pokemon to be immune to status upon being healed by a full restore. So I have to think of a brand new strat. I lead Ambipom, who has the moveset of Taunt, Screech, Toxic, and most importantly of all, Last Resort, which allows me to bypass his Focus Sash and knock it out before it becomes a problem. I then sacked Ambipom in order to bring in Golem. The Savali only knows multi-attack, and is an Emerald type, which is super effective against every type. However, because it is a type, it turns Golem's 8 times weakness to a 16 times weakness, which causes damage overflow and allows Golem to take it down at full HP. This brings in Metagross, who's quad weak to ground, so I stay in, live with Sturdy, and one-shot with Earthquake. From here, I made a bit of a misplay, as I switch into Milo on Deoxys, who gets an unlucky Meteor Math boost and lives a Surf, which takes down Milo. However, I have a plan. My Pikachu, who I initially brought for Sydney and nothing else, has the move Pika Protect, which is King Shield, but it paralyzes the opponent. So as long as I paralyze it, I got myself a win con- Whoops. And with that, attempt 25 comes to an end as I have no way of getting rid of his Latias. Normally, I would end the video here, but I've already made it this far, made all these docks, and now I know the entire Elite Four. So, I say the challenge ends once we get revenge on Wallace and defeat this game once and for all. Okay, give me a second, let me get this next run going. Okay, well that's 2 of them, but Ralts is a pretty good encounter. Well, let's just see what my next encounter is. Good enough.
You know what? I just realized I don't care.
Alright, good news, we've made it all the way to Inono without any major casualties. And because of that, I have a much easier time in this split. With more knowledge of the type chart thanks to the Kecleon strats, I figured out that Prime Resist stands, which means that this whole time Whimsicott can fulfill the same role as Unpheasant, who I wasn't able to get in this run. I also kept Louder alive for this run, who does a decent job in this fight due to his immunity to song types thanks to Soundproof. Outside of that, the plan for Winona remained the same, and we take her down completely deathless. Things are doing pretty well, and I even got this Absol who I previously didn't get in my last attempt. And honestly, I've never really used this Pokemon, so it would be nice to try it out with his new typing. That's honestly the spirit of nuzlocking. It allows you to use Pokemon you otherwise wouldn't. Oh dude, come on! I just got this thing. We then reach Mossdeep City and fight Clay with a much better strategy. Now that I know that Braviary is a threat, I hunted down its weaknesses using Kecleon to figure out that Braviary is quad weak to gender. Jeez, if only I knew that sooner. We go with a similar strat, except I now know that Gun is weak to Fluffy and... Oh wait, that's... Oh. Oh boy. Don't target Floatzel. It targets Floatzel. Okay, I guess I misremembered. Guess I gotta improvise here. Okay, nice. That's really good. That's really good. Nice! That's a crit. Shit. Alright, Braviary's next. Okay, we're going to Wave Dash, and I think we switch into Zumro here. I want to save Whimsicott. Alright, that does a shit ton. Fuck. I forgot how loud that is. And I'm also weak to it. Oh! That's fine. Okay, maybe not. Okay, protect. Kingler. This thing hasn't hit itself in Confusion once, by the way. I think if we land this fist, Vice Grip, we win. Okay, cool. Okay, of course I got Braviary. Okay, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Hit yourself, hit yourself, hit yourself, hit yourself. GG. And finally, we're almost here. I may lose a Pokemon or two along the way, but I feel confident about myself, and honestly, with most of my bots alive, I feel like nothing is going to get in my way. Yeah, I still wipe. No, I don't wipe. I still win. Okay, I win, but... Oh god, Okay, I may or may not have let Kingler basically set up 2 Dragon Dances to kill most of my team. But that's okay, because we somehow won! Shit, now what? Of all the Pokemon I brought to the Elite Four in Attempt 25, I only have 2 of them in this attempt. The others I either didn't get, or died not even a few minutes ago. So, I now need to plan a brand new team from what I currently have. Good news is that Meganium is at least replaceable in this attempt, since I still have my Roserade, and one of the first things I figured out when starting this challenge was that Silly is weak to poison. So Roserade is a must bring just for his matchup against the first 2 E4 members alone. But afterwards I had a hard time figuring out the rest of the team, and that's mainly due to Wallace, as his team is absolutely insane, and this is a nerf version of the team by the way. He used to be able to Mega Evolve his Metagross. Specifically, his Latias is his biggest threat we have to worry about, as it hits most of my box super effectively and is weak to very little types, one of which she's immune to. I left the stream with only 3 Pokemon planned for the Elite Four, and the next time I go live for this D4 attempt, I now have 4 Pokemon planned for the Elite Four. But I have an idea. I stopped by Pacific Town as I remember after my stream that I can capture one more encounter, a Wailmer who gains the Smash type, which isn't really much, but it's neutral with OU, and it has a lot more HP compared to Wishy-Washy, which I was originally going to bring, so it'll do. I then brought Gastrodon in order to handle the Metagross, and I was ready to go. First is Sydney. Then is Phoebe, who I had a bit of trouble with because of Porygon Z. Prior to this attempt, I was able to go back to my previous recording to document the natures of every single Pokemon in the Elite Four, all except for this one. Most natures are fine, but if it happens to be a plus speed nature, then I'm risking Roserade to a crit Ice Beam. This ends up being true, but for some reason, Phoebe invested in a Porygon Z with literally 0 speed IVs. So I Giga Drain Porygon Z, switch to Gyara, and crunch Grimmsnarl, and eject button back to Roserade to sweep the rest of the team. Up next, we got Larry, and... Or it goes to... Okay, it just goes... What? Larry, what are you doing, buddy? We actually outspeed this thing. That's surprising. Finally is the Imposter, who we actually have a much more interesting strategy for. Prior to this fight, I made sure that Whaler had by far the most dogshit moveset I could possibly teach it, just so I can use it as a lead versus their Ditto. That way, I can switch into Kingdra and take care of it without any issue. From here, I decided to exploit a rather major flaw of this E4 member's strategy. As you remember, the Sussy Baka likes to use Vent. What I didn't tell you was that during my first E4 attempt, I figured out that this move had the same exact properties as Dig, where if the opponent uses Earthquake while they are semi-vulnerable, the Pokemon instead takes double damage. So I used that to my advantage by teaching both Gyarados and Golem Protect and Earthquake in order to easily sweep their entire team. Can't vent when the air ducts become a death trap to them. Finally, it's time for my rematch versus Wallace, and I have a bit of a plan here. I need to use Golem with a Cover Cloak in order to blow up on Latias without worrying about Ice Beam or T-Bow's secondary effect. I also need to set up rocks to ensure that his Shedinja isn't a problem. With that, I plan on using Focus Sash Thrash Gyarados on Deoxys and Gastrodon versus Metagross. I just need Whaler to use Toxic versus Wynot, since while I can't stop the full restore glitch, as long as I attack Wynot on the 4th turn of Toxic, I can kill it before it's put in heal range. Prior to this stream, I went to Route 111 and stole a Shed Shell from a Wild Scraggy, which allows me to ignore a Shadow Tag. So the plan is to Toxic it, switch out the Golem, set up rocks, and then attack it before Wallace can heal. All I need to do now is to teach Wailord Toxic. Toxic. I never actually grabbed fucking Toxic, are you actually kidding me? Okay, plan B. We're gonna have to turn Wynot into a crab. Let me explain. When I got this Golem as a Geodude, I made sure that I learned the move Evolve upon becoming Graveler, and made sure that it never forgets this move since Graveler is the only one that can learn it. I needed it for the Elite Four in the event my Toxic Strat didn't work, but it also helps in the event that I just straight up didn't bring it. As long as it's not a full HP and I turn it into a Crab type, I should be able to one-shot it with Return. There's really only one way to find out whether or not this works. Alright, so we're gonna hit this thing with a Water Pulse. I need to go for another one, because that was like around 9%. I mean, I could also go for Ice Beam. Let's go Ice Beam. Alright, good. And then Miracle, that should be fine. Yep, we take those. Evolve. It's now pure Crab type. Return. Okay, max. Okay, we're max. Okay, we should one-shot this. Nice. This should bait in who exactly? I forgot to actually Stealth Rocks, but I can evolve this thing. Ah, shit. Okay, so I have an idea. Go Wailord. We are going to... Oh, I forgot to actually give this thing... Oh. I'm gonna sack Wailord, fuck it. I'm gonna sack Wailord. We have to evolve. Come on, evolve. Oh, that's really bad for... Yeah, so I'm gonna hit it. Metagross. Okay, so Metagross, I am bringing Gastrodon in here for. Oh, this is already going pretty bad, and that was a fucking crit. I think we EQ. Yeah, it's gonna Crab Wave. That's fine. We one-shot this. Nice. Okay. Okay, so Valley's in. We go Roserade here, right? Crush Claw should do no damage.
Nice. Wait, I just realized I should have went Gyarados. Okay, so Latias is in. Latias is in. Wait, Angie is also... Wait, hang on a minute. Angie, I believe, is super effective against OU. I think I have an out. Yes, I have an out. Okay, I have an out. I have an out. I have an out. I think we just Magical Leaf here. It Calm Minds. And it's gonna Ice Beam for the one-shot. Alright. Just... We have the Focus Sash. And we can Thrash. Okay, don't... No para. 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 No, no. Okay, come on. One shot. One shot. Yes! Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck yes, Gyarados. Oh, I'm so fucking glad I brought you. I think we go Gastron and we win. Oh, right. Oh, right. I think we go Kingdra still. I think we can go Kingdra. It goes for Cosmic Power. Wait, what? We won. 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 We won! Yes! Let's fucking go! And with that, we finally defeated Pokemon too many times without looking up any official documentation. And honestly, this is such a fun game to play with a really cool concept behind it. I'm honestly glad that I stick to using my own docs until the very end, as I probably wouldn't have made this video if I gave up and looked up everything. That being said, yeah, I'm never doing this ever again. If a sequel was ever made, then I'm just gonna continue where I left off. Shoutouts to both Squerk and Niku for inspiring me to do this challenge, and shoutouts to Yami for helping me with editing this video. I'll put their channels in the description. If you like what you see, consider subscribing to the channel and follow my Twitch account where I do challenges similar to this one. That's all for today. See y'all later.